Welcome to the JMark Business Innovation Technology Experience.
So, Colleen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Vecino Group?
My name is Colleen Hargis. I'm the CIO for Vecino Group. Vecino Group, our main headquarters are in Springfield, Missouri. We are a developer, and we're a little bit different kind of developer. We develop mainly LIHTC housing, which is low-income housing, tax credit housing, and we put a little bit different twist on it. All of our housing is usually associated with special need populations, so we serve underserved housing populations. For example, it could be youth aging out of foster care, or it could be chronically homeless. We also have a division that is a student housing division, which we build student housing around the United States. And then we have a couple other little flavors. RAD housing is rental assistance development, and that takes older properties that are in, kind of the 1970s. I guess it's like what would be considered old HUD houses, and we rent them. So we serve a lot of different populations around the United States. We're an integrated firm, so we have an architect division that will design our projects. We have a developer division that heads up the development from start to finish, and then we have a construction division that actually builds most of our products. So yeah.
Wow. And so how many employees do you have?
We have 75 employees, and that also includes some construction field employees.
Okay. So over the last couple of weeks, it really hasn't been too long. How have you guys transitioned to the remote and work from home order, and how does that work for y'all?
We were, in every crisis, you have to find the blessings. So our
very true
is our model was already, our CEO really is a forward-thinking person, and he wanted to set up a company way before the pandemic and, this existing crisis, so that our employees could work from anywhere. So we are not tied to our desk at Vecino, which is a blessing. We do have offices located in Springfield, Missouri, Salt Lake City, Atlanta, Georgia, and Troy, New York. But we are really a workforce that is encouraged to come together when we need teamwork, and some departments are better served together, like accounting. But our CEO says, if you need to take your computer and go sit at home or in a library or in a coffee shop, and that is conducive to your personality and your work style, go do it. So we were a little bit ahead of the curve in that we were up with cloud storage. People can share, documents back and forth very easy. We've used Microsoft Teams for almost 2 years. So people are already used to that collaborative approach. And then our employees kind of already had the mindset that they can do their job wherever they want. So for a few employees, when the stay-at-home order was enforced almost in Springfield, they had a little bit, of a challenge of a mind shift, but I would say for the majority of our employees, it was pretty seamless.
Wow, that's really awesome. Every single client that I've interviewed that has had a successful transition has had the foresight to take care of this long before there was a pandemic.
Yeah.
And tell me about what you guys have kind of worked through over the last year or two to make this so seamless. What were the steps that you had to handle, and how did people take the remote environment? Can you kind of paint a picture of that?
Yeah, and I thought about this just for a few minutes. This morning I was thinking, what was probably the most important thing? What was the critical factor? And for me, and I think for the team that I lead specifically, it's shared cloud file storage, because that is just so important to make sure that the team remains productive, that you don't have multiple people creating multiple versions and multiple departments and then coming together and go, whoa, I didn't know you changed that, right? I didn't know our parameters changed on this. And so really setting up the shared file structure and the behavior to support that file structure, right? That you can do all the IT stuff, but until the behavior supports it, you can have chaos. And so over the last couple of years, we really have worked with our teams, each individual unit, so that they know where things are stored, the central location, the one source of truth, what that document looks like, and try to break bad habits, right? We all have those bad habits of, but I want my version. So I'm going to send it to my desktop. Well, that'll come back and bite you, right? Because your member in Salt Lake City has changed something and you need to know about it. So I would say really setting up cloud storage and the behaviors to support the teamwork to use that cloud storage, really to the best of the whole, to serve the whole organization is key.
Wonderful. And you mentioned you use Microsoft Teams. So tell me a little bit about how you're using that tool.
We've used Microsoft Teams for about 2 years. It's been an evolution. That when we first introduced it, we started with just a few teams, and we have teams based on projects. So if we're building a housing project in Cedar City, Utah, for example, we'll have a team that surrounds that project. It'll actually be the name of the housing project. But then we also have department teams. So we assign, whoever is applicable to that team. And we try to really teach people that communication on Teams is something, it is the pulse of your project. So even if you're not an architect, you need to read the architect channel, right? You need to take 15 minutes a day, read through those posts, because chances are there's something in there that you're like, oh, I need to know about that. That affects me in accounting, or it affects me in the creative department, or, hey, somebody should have told me that, right? Because we're all human. So I think changing those behaviors so people really engage all those team channels, don't have to comment on them. Maybe it doesn't even affect anything that you're directly responsible for, but kind of staying in the know. So that's how we use the project channels, our department channels, especially since we've gone to almost everyone is remote. We have one person in the office, our main office, every day to try to take care of mail and just to make sure deliveries are done. But our department channels have really become key since we're remote, because we use those to kind of say what I'm doing. Here is what my is today. On Monday, it's what my focus is for the whole week. And other team members can say, oh, I owe her something, right? She's going to get to a point in that work that she's going to stop because I owe a report or I need to review. And so I'm going to see that coming down my pipeline. So that's changed a little bit since most of us are at home working now. But just having those channels set up already and department team members used to going to them has really made this much more seamless.
That's awesome. So many people, when they work in, or they're used to working in an office situation, and they're used to going next door and talking to somebody in an office or having a meeting, it can be really tough to transition to that online collaboration where you're never really seeing their face, or you're not seeing it very often. How have you had that struggle with anybody, and how have you kind of overcome that?
Our CEO told us about 3 weeks before it hit the news. I remember him standing at my desk and he said, this is going to be big and we will be remote. And I said, do you really think so? Like, we'll all be remote? And he said, yeah, he had the foresight to kind of push us a little bit, not just to wait till, the rest of the United States reacted. So I think all the team members were a little bit poised, a little bit better than maybe some of our fellow, companies next door to us. I will say that I believe for most people, they do miss seeing people. I've heard that. I've kind of checked in with a lot of people because, there's interaction that happens in the hallway. That's the human part that we miss.
Right.
So to accommodate that, my accounting team, who is underneath me, We have a 9 o'clock regular check-in. It can be 15 minutes. We go around. I really encourage.
Is it a video or is it?
Yes, we use video.
Yeah.
We use Zoom.
Perfect.
Some people use Microsoft Teams meeting is very popular also. Zoom is a good option for our company, just as a side note, because we can invite a lot of non-employees to it pretty easy, but
True.
use Microsoft Teams meeting too. I really encourage people to turn off their avatar and let us. I don't care if you have a hat on. I don't even care if you're still in your pajamas, because that shows me that we're all human, right? We all have dogs
Right.
barking. We all have, kids running around or doorbells that ring, and that's okay. And, I saw a really great quote this week that says, we are not workers. We are not workers that are working remote during a pandemic. We are in a pandemic working remotely. And so,
That's awesome.
it kind of brings us all full circle that we are all real human beings with, real distractions, and that's okay. So I really like to see people turn off those avatars and let me see you. And it's kind of a no judgment zone. And we all get to kind of feel that human touch with our coworkers. So most departments are doing that. They're doing a quick check-in once a day, 15 minutes, right? Don't let it drone on. Sometimes all you do is go, I don't have any updates. I'm working on something I did yesterday. My big meetings are 11 to 12, 2 to 4. My schedule's on Microsoft Outlook. Feel free to call me. We use chat feature a lot in Microsoft Teams. It's really been a saving grace to us. And I also really encourage people, when you're chatting during this particular time, check in and see how people are, right? I need that report.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the report. But we have a huge team in New York, which New York is really, the center of the pandemic right now. How are you guys doing? Do you have enough masks? If you're going out, I hope you're being safe. So just those human touches really bring us together. We have had our architect department played Scribble in a virtual hour yesterday. And then Friday, we have a virtual, we're calling it Lunch and Zoom. And people that just come, show us what you're having for lunch. It's 30 minutes. We'll just kind of check in. I invited a couple project managers. I said, if you're at the project, use your Zoom app on your phone and walk us around the project. Let us see let us see what's happening. Right. Construction isn't shut down for the most part. It's slowed down a little bit, but not shut down.
Well, that's so awesome. I wish everybody could hear what you said about video, because there's so many people who are just so concerned that they're not going to look right, or there's something in the background. And the one thing that a lot of people are even doing with Zoom now is you can change your background, and that's fine. You can at least still see the face, but as a leader or a manager, being able to just see someone's eyes and really look into how they're feeling and how they're just dealing with everything is so vital and important right now.
Right. And I think it sets the tone, right? It sets the tone for the rest of the organization that, if I had a meeting, a stand-up meeting, a job interview, or if I was meeting with a CEO of another company, it was very formal. Well, that's a different setting, right? But just a check-in with my team, this is my real life during a pandemic. And I'm trying, that stress is on me and it's on you, and let's all support each other.
Wonderful. How do you think the culture has evolved during this complete remote time?
Oh, that's a great question. We have a culture of kindness at Vecino, which is a real foundation at our company, and people refer to it often. That's how you know when your culture has really taken root, is when people will say, I really felt the VG, we call ourselves VGers, Vecino Group. I really felt the VG, kindness here. You guys, we've had a couple of employees that have personal health concerns with the virus. Thank goodness no one has, tested positive, but maybe an extended family member has. And our really culture of kindness and caring has really shine really brightly during this time. And I think our communication tools have supported that, right? I can just send someone a quick Microsoft Teams chat, and I don't have to take up a lot of their day. I can just say, just checking in with the New York team, everyone's staying healthy. Yeah. Hey, what's going on in Salt Lake City? Do you guys have a lot of positive, people that are testing positive there? Is your city shut down? I think as leaders, that's our responsibility, is to remember that our employees are humans, and, once they're healthy, happy humans, they'll be awesome employees.
Absolutely. A lot of, and I've spoken with people that have kind of had this opinion in the past that culture is often driven from the interaction, the face-to-face interactions within an office environment. But really good culture, like you're describing, is in the people. It's not in the tools. It's not in the location. It's not in the geography. It's in the people. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like you've had any decline in your culture. If anything, it's been augmented during this time.
Yeah, I really think that because we had a great foundation, you take a challenge, you put a challenge on top of it, and people have really stepped up. I've seen a lot more, you can like a post, almost just like on Facebook, on Teams, a lot more hearts, thumbs up, wow.
That's such a good point.
And really encouraging people. I also find it really interesting that sometimes your employees that are the most quiet in a traditional work environment, they go into Microsoft Teams and, they'll post the funniest little GIF, on happy birthday post or something. And it really shows you the other side of their personality.
You're right.
We had one of our quieter employees put up something very witty last night, and I laughed out loud, and I thought, I never see him doing that in a traditional meeting, but it was really great to see that interaction.
Yeah, we wrote this remote mobilization workforce guide, and one of the things we put in there is that how important memes and emoticons are in a remote environment. You never think about that, but it just, every little thing you write can be taken in the wrong tone, and there's just so much that can be said and make people laugh. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and on that same note, it's interesting. One of the things I found with some of the people I work closest with, because we would see each other in the hallway, right? I'd walk by their door and they'd be like, hey, Colleen, come in here. I have a quick question for you. And we have really used that Microsoft Teams meeting feature a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Instant.
Just a quick video chat.
The video chat. Yeah, that has really, for me, I can only speak personally, I've used that tremendously. I don't have to go through setting up a Zoom meeting and, sending the invite. Everyone has Teams open all the time. So I'll just send them a chat message. Hey, let's do a quick Teams. Are you ready? I don't want to, bother them. Hey, yeah, give me 10 minutes and boom, we're all in a virtual meeting room. So it's been awesome.
Okay. What have managers done to really lead through this crisis? What have you done differently in this environment than you did in the office environment?
We have a standing team leader meeting at 9 a.m. on Monday that kind of sets the tone for all of our department heads together. We share we always had a meeting on Monday, but the tone has shifted a little bit with the pandemic, because I think it's more into, what are your goals? What are your threats to meet those goals for your departments? And what are your rocks in the road? And rocks in the road for us are things that other team members can help us solve, right?
Impediments.
Exactly, they're impediments. Where threats are more like things that are out of my control, like I'm waiting on a third party for, outside of our company. But rocks, we can help each other move those rocks. So we have that standing meeting at Monday morning, and then we all go to our individual department meetings after that. And then most of us have individual department touch-ins every day. Some people only do it a couple times a week, and that's fine. So I don't think that's a bad thing, though. To me, what it's shown me is I probably didn't take as much time as I should have when we were all physically present to shut off the distractions and say, hey, what's on your plate today? And I think that for me personally, that's been one of my biggest leadership, learning moments here, is that I feel way more in touch with my individual teams, because in the office, I trust that they can walk by and say, hey, do you have a second? And that probably was a little bit pretentious of me, right? A lot of people don't want to bother people, but when I take the time to give them undivided attention, even just 15 minutes a day, it's amazing the new stuff that's coming out.
Absolutely. Have you had any concerns about productivity with your staff?
No, in fact, I've heard from my team that they're like, we are flying through stuff like we would have before, because we can shut it down, right? An office environment has great, there's nothing, I'm a people person, so I love to be around people, but there's a lot of people who really love quietness and they can really churn through the work. I will say that there are people, and I've had them reach out to me and say, I do not like the quiet, right? That's not my personality. I have a hard time. I need a TV on. I need something. So, it's just an individual preference. But I think overall our team has done wonders. I know a couple people I work with very closely who are very, very busy in their job have been like, wow, this is great. I might just continue, one day work a week of 1 day a week after this. So I think that's good.
More often. That's wonderful. Yeah, you said something interesting about distractions, and a lot of times working from home is considered more distracting than working from the office. But like you said, there are, walking to a meeting, people walking by your office, getting your stuff to go to a meeting. And there's all these little teeny things you do throughout the day that you don't have remote, because you're just sitting there bouncing from one chat to the next and doing things, and you can get
right. Right. Yeah. And even visually, a lot of people have said that they're visually distracted very easy, where at home, I worked at home for 8 years. So I do know that you can get in the kind of, I could change laundry, I could unload the dishwasher. But I think from what I told my team is, when we went remote, is I said, find some place you're comfortable with and get out a list of the 5 things you want to accomplish every day. And you're not going to change the laundry. You're not going to unload the dishwasher. Those 5 things are checked off, or you have a next action item on them, right? Sometimes we're waiting on people. And get in a routine. Treat yourself just like you were at the office. Give yourself a lunch break, right? Give yourself a restroom break. Walk around the block just like we do in the office. And so I think that's been awesome. Now, like I said in the beginning, we were trained a little bit because our CEO is very forward thinking. So we didn't have quite the leap, to a total office environment.
That's great. So in regards to the switching gears a little bit to the COVID-19 situation, what kinds of things have you seen? How have you seen the community kind of getting together, and what kinds of things is the Vecino Group doing to help out the communities that you guys are in?
That's an awesome question. We have existing up and running housing projects in probably about 5 different states. We have some great asset managers who have checked in with our local property managers in all those states, and we keep a pulse on what's happening with our residents. A lot of residents, especially because it's the 1st of April, we'll see people who may not be able to pay rent, right? Maybe their spouse has lost a job. Maybe they were working 2 jobs and one job has gone away, so they can only make a partial rent payment. So we're really on top of how is this affecting our residents. And that's something at Vecino Group that, yes, we develop, build, and run housing, but our focus is our residents. They are the reason we do our projects, and they always are on the top of our list on how we're serving a population that is underserved in the housing community. And so I would say first and foremost, the thing I'm most proud of is that Our team, along with our owners, are committed to no evictions during this time. We will work with our residents, work out terms to allow them to maintain their housing as it currently is. We have a lot of construction projects across the United States. Also, construction is right now considered a vital industry, so we haven't been shut down, but of course we've been slowed down a little bit. And our project managers are really touching base with our subs and our laborers there to make sure that they remain healthy, right? Because if we're all healthy, we're all more productive and we're all meeting our goals. And so I think those are the two things I'm most proud of at Vecino Group during this crisis, is that we really do care about the individual health of people.
That's wonderful. Well, Colleen, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I wish I could give you a high five on everything that you guys have done. The foresight of your CEO and all the leaders in the organization, and being prepared for this, and everything you're doing right now is just amazing and wonderful.
Yeah, well, thanks, J. Mark. I mean, you guys were vital in getting our architects up and running on a remote server. That's big, because these huge files, right? Not just a Word or an Excel document. And they're sharing these huge files that have to be shared seamlessly. And so I really appreciate your team. We did a little survey about a week into being remote, like, how are you doing? What is not working? What is keeping you from being productive? And I was really pleased that IT was not an answer to things that's keeping people from being productive.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. That's teamwork. So
wonderful. Well, thank you for your time, and keep on trucking along and stay safe.
Yeah, you guys stay healthy. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for attending this podcast. We hope it has been informative and helped convey that at JMark, we are people first and technology second. To learn more and discover additional content relevant to your business, please visit us online at jmark.com or at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You may also call us at 844-44-JMark. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again.